Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the ministry, Friday's edition. I am your pastor and host, Pastor Moses Chiluba. In the studio, I am definitely privileged and honored to have Father Canon Emmanuel Chikoya, who is the General Secretary for the Churches, Council of Churches in Zambia. Father Chikoya, welcome to Camnet Studios.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to meet you, yes. An elder man, someone who has got a very proven track record in the church space in Zambia. So looking forward to the interaction, and good evening to the viewers.
Amen. Yeah. Father Chikoya, this Camnet TV, I always tell people that it's a family television. Mm-hmm. When I say family television, it's watched by members of all ages. There is no age limit, especially those who were born for greatness. Mm-hmm. And you find children glued. Like today, we cannot tell how people out there are watching.
Yeah.
Now, because Father Chikoya is a notable name and figure in Zambia, but for the sake of clarity and being personal, to our viewers, who is Father Chikoya? When was he born? How did you develop interest to be a minister of the Word of God?
I usually call myself the boy from Kanyama. So, born in November the 27th, 1969. And basically, that happened in Kafue. So Patrick grew up in Kafue up to grade 5. I was quite naughty, getting and heading in the wrong direction. And then my father basically just to forcefully, in a sense, get me from the headmaster's office after some disciplinary issue. I was relocated to Lusaka. So I think that is the decider in terms of my turning around and even getting to get to a life. You are born in the Anglican Church, so basically church, you are too familiar with church, but in terms of a decision, I think that was a very decisive decision. And once I got to Lusaka, a person that was underperforming suddenly turned around and was able to begin to find his feet academically, and failed once in grade 7 at Chinika Primary School. And after that, I've never failed an exam. So basically, I lost my father when I was in grade 11. And then we moved on. And so we've seen God guiding us. I went to Matero Boys in terms of secondary, and completed in 89. And 2 years later, I got married. I was an early bed, but I don't regret. We've been married for 31 years, and we have 5 children. One doing accountancy, one in medicine, one has done law, and then we have a grade 12 and a grade 8 in the house, and one girl among 4 boys. That's our family. And so basically, I was a banker, and so I, in the course of my serving in the church, in the youth ministry, in the choir and things like that, I found myself constantly being given assignments to pray, to attend to things that were pastoral in nature. And so people jokingly say, Father, Abosa, and things like that. My father was a part-time priest, meaning he was not really full-time. And when he passed on, we of course had to fend for ourselves. We had to work over the weekends, and to be able to have money for lunch during school days. And mom brought us up, 9 of us. I'm a first boys and 2 girls. 2 of my brothers are late, and we're 7 surviving siblings. And so having worked in the bank, I worked at the airport as well, but only briefly, and then joined the bank, Zambia National Commercial Bank. I rose to the rank of supervisor category B, and then in 1998 I felt the call. I was postponing it for about 5 years, until a priest came and said we had advertised, but we didn't get the people we wanted, so we are re-advertising, or we've been advised to approach certain individuals. So I felt cornered, and I realized I couldn't put it on hold for too long. And so then I resigned and went into priesthood, and the rest is history. Yeah. So my first posting was the Cathedral of the Holy Cross, which is a great, honor and privilege to minister to these diplomats, and you are just coming from that kind of a background, quite intimidating. You had the late Dennis Riwewe's in audience and in the congregation, and so it was the grace of God that enabled us to minister, and outside the rest is history. So it's been a build up of God taking us from one level to the other. Yeah.
It is also gratifying to know, Father Chikoya.
Yeah.
I've always felt that I'm the only preacher in Zambia who came from the other side of town.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is John Howard. Yeah. But today I've found a colleague from Kanyama, though you were closer to town.
Yeah, but Kanyama is called the Dark City. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Father Chikoya.
Yes.
We're looking at the church.
Yes.
And the development.
Yes.
My wife and I are very passionate on the matters to do with Zambia.
Yes.
I was born a Zambian in Chinsali. And for these 62 years that I've been on the planet since 1960, I have seen a lot of things.
Yes.
But at the same time, I've also seen some failures.
Yes.
By our leaders.
Yes.
Because they are the ones that can develop this nation by way of policy.
Yes.
Now, when I say leaders, I'm talking about in general, like Africa. Why is it not developed? When you look at Rwanda, which is now being floated as an example of cleanness and development, it's a vision of a person called Paul Kagame to say, let's transform this nation.
Yes.
And what has gone wrong to us as Zambians? Please help me to understand.
Thank you very much. I think you rightly put it across that everything rises and falls on leadership. And so I think for a long time we've had what I would call transactional leaders. What we need are transformational leaders. Who is a transformational leader? A transformational leader is a leader that realizes their purpose. They know why they're in that office for that particular season. And so they are not preoccupied with clinging to office, amending the constitution to fit themselves and their team, but they are there to fix what I would say the fundamentals that are needed to help people lead empowered lives. Are we saying everything should be dependent on a politician? No, we have a part as well. The attitudes, our mindset has to change. There are so many things that we blame on we blame our ancestors, we blame this one and that one. That also, not on the individuals. So individual has a responsibility, but the leader needs to create the enabling environment. The leadership that is transformational in nature. When you talk about transactional, when I come to you, I'll be saying, so you've invited me here, what is in it for me? That kind of approach is what has killed us in the past, because it is about how much can I get for me, for my loved ones, for my tribe, for my region, and things of that sort. And so that is a mindset that our leaders have tended to have. They may have been one or two that meant well, but they are surrounded by people that have a mindset of I'm in it for me and my family and those around me. And so I think that is defective, lack of vision, and over-dependence on the so-called foreign investment, because we can turn things around. We must be able to get into those boardrooms as stakeholders, not beneficiaries of the crumbs called corporate social responsibility. So you find that we have all these resources and we fail lamentably to make them work for us, you know. And, you know, I was visited by some people from South Korea, and they're telling us, see what South Korea 60, 70 years ago, and see where it is today. And we have iron ore, some of the best grades in Zambia. But you have one of the third largest industries that manufactures steel in South Korea. That doesn't have ore. They don't have minerals. And so what is the difference? It's leadership. You know, leadership that is disciplined, leadership that understands that we have a stewardship. We are not the masters, but we are the servants of the people. And so, but also disciplined not just for them on themselves, but even in terms of how they manage everything else. And so you'll find the nation of disciplined people, committed people, people that are thinking, not thinking. You know, so we in Zambia we don't have a problem of prayer. We have enough churches. We have enough overnights. You know, the problem is the principles of production. You know, to be good stewards of what God has entrusted us with. You know, I was speaking at a youth gathering just this morning, and I was telling them, do you know that 40% of the water mass in Zambia, I mean in Southern Africa, passes through Zambia? And yet we have water problems. We have energy problems. Who has bewitched us? You know, so it's a challenge of failing to grasp the principles, and God honors the principles, not just our prayers. He honors those people that follow the principles and do so diligently and, you know, sacrificially and consistently, persistently until they achieve a goal. And we see that mentality in the Asian world. They are able to turn around. And if winter was, maybe if it was us who could have the kind of winters that they have, I don't know whether we could have survived. I don't know. Maybe it could have prompted us to think faster and have solutions. But you have people that want to solve problems. We want to nurse the problems. You know, we even be proud to say, my problem, our problem, we are poor people, we are a poor village. You know, and so we always think somebody has to fix this for us. That mentality has to get out. And leaders that are inward looking, leaders that once they get into office, they are thinking of themselves and they are plundering resources. I mean, how can you, you know, my heart bleeds. I feel the pain. How can you buy a fire tender for $1 million US, for example? And something can be gotten for 250,000. And so those are some of the challenges we face. And you have, you know, enough resources, but in a few hands. And as a result, the rest wallow in poverty. And we seem to be so comfortable in our challenges. Yeah.
You know, Father Chikoya, it is amazing of how that the people who come to our churches are the same people who are in government. They are the same people who are in parliament. There are a few Satanists, I think, who you only see during the funeral service. But most of these members of parliament, prime ministers, I mean, members of parliament, ministers, including the presidents, they have a church they go to. And they are under our leadership as spiritual leaders. But one thing I failed to understand, Father Chikoya, is do these leaders have the pain and the shame to say, I can't visit Rwanda, I can't visit America, I can't visit this country, let me look inward and be able to develop this and fix this? Because my wife and I were privileged to be hosted by a Ghanaian national in Ghana. I mean, from Ghana, but he lives in Canada. And he went to Japan when he was a little boy. The father went there as a diplomat from Ghana. He grew up, university, everything. In short, he became a Japanese by way of his residence and what. Now, because of too much learning, Canada poached him. and is one of the scientists in Canada. When he tells you certain things, you tend to say, Kanshi from Zambia, Kanyelele Nshikatwa Wilomwao.
Yes.
Because he was telling my wife and I that in Japan, when you are given a plot like this, you can build a structure, but the land doesn't belong to you. Because they can come and demolish it and build another thing. If you have a person having 50 meters by 50 meters, those are billionaires in Japan. Because most of the millionaires and what, they live in flats. But Zambia, with vast land, you can be flying. The other time, Father Chikoya, I was on this Ethiopian airline.
Yes.
Just when we were in Mpika, and I was tracking by that GPS.
Yes.
Just there at Mpika, the captain announces, ladies and gentlemen, we have begun our descent to come and land. That's Mpika. And I'm looking down the vast land where there are no people. You only see smoke here and there, and you say we are poor. You see streams there. You see all this.
Yeah.
The pain is, do these leaders have a sense of shame and pain? Not just these UPND leaders. They've been there just for 7 months, I guess. I'm talking about Zambian leaders in general.
Yeah.
Do we have a sense of shame?
Yeah. You know, when the abnormal becomes normal, it's very difficult to change a person sometimes. But there's always hope. I believe there's hope. You talked about the church. I would even add that Zambia is generally believed to be Christian. And so we are talking about 90%. And so where is the corruption coming from? Where are all these vices coming from? Where is this lack of productivity coming from? There's something that we should own up in many a church that is not being done correctly. You know, when Jesus says, I've come that they may have life and have it in its totality, he meant just that. He didn't mean that we shall in heaven. No. He is saying here and now you have a foretaste of what heaven will be like.
Correct.
And here we are claiming this, denouncing that, stepping on this, and things are not changing. We have prayed up, we have done all kinds of things. So the teaching needs to be enhanced. We need to be able to address. So the saints have to be equipped. When they come to church, a human being must be equipped to deal with sin, but also to be productive. I think in the area of productivity, we are not doing very well. Because, you know, one of the other challenges is where we attribute every failure. Is there an evil world? Yes, it is there. Are there demons? Yes, they are there. But, you know, there must come a time when I must honor. If I cannot be productive, you talked about 50 meters. In Zambia, not even billionaires who... ordinary Zambians have got more land than that billionaire in Japan. You know.
Absolutely.
And what are we doing with it? Nothing. You know, we are busy crushing, fighting this spirit of poverty and that thing. And in the meantime, your land remains from your father to you, to your children. It remains, nothing is being done. You get the same land and give it to another person, things will be happening. So there's a challenge with our mindset. I would say it's a poverty mindset that needs to be gotten rid of. We need to get rid of this attitude. So even if you give me 1 billion kwacha, if I have a poor mindset, I'll blow it off. And there'll be no productivity because I don't know how to manage money. So we need to, you know, when you gave the example of Japan, little children, they go to school on their own. They are taught responsibility. I'm taught even toilets are being cleaned by school-going kids.
Yes.
You know, so there's a mindset of hard working, of responsibility inculcated in the children. So we need to get it right. In Sunday school, let's not just show them pictures of Goliath and all these other nice pictures of, you know, Jonah and the fish. After we do that, let's begin to add to that Sunday school curriculum that God wants us to be productive and creative. So once we begin them young, we will have the Zambia we want to see. Because at this stage, you know, when a sweet potato is already fully grown, you can't straighten it. You break it. And so, but of course, there's a God who does miracles. I believe in that. But let's get it right from the Sunday school, from all whatever we call them, be it discipleship programs, catechism. Let's get it right and ensure that there's part of that package is dealing with issues of economy. It's dealing with issues of governance. And then we'll be slowly but steadily building the cadre or the group. The word cadre actually is not bad. It's just that we made it bad in Zambia. A kind of people that will be thinkers, a kind of people that are hungry and ready to take Zambia by the storm. So we need to get it right from that age. But for the people now, as church, as pastors, let's stop being too respectful. I'm not saying we should be arrogant or insult the people that come to church, but we must recognize and not just reach for their wallets, but reach for their souls. You know, that is, a person can come to church and still go to that office and do whatever they want to do, and still come and give big donations to the church. It's high time that we told them, wait a minute. There's a bishop, an Anglican bishop in Kenya, that just told them, we don't want your money here. When you come to church, sit and pray. We don't want you in our pulpits saying other things that we don't expect. But in Zambia, I think I would say we have what I would call too much respect. Not that we shouldn't respect our leaders, but when they come to church, let them sit. Let them listen. Let them receive the counsel that is needed. And where you see gaps, call them for a cup of tea. Let's begin to speak things that will really challenge them. When they begin to realize these church leaders are tired and fed up with business as usual mentality, we will begin to see some changes. Or if they misbehave, they will be thinking twice, because they know my pastor will not tolerate me. But they know I'll go and give that big, envelope, and, bring that watch, bring that phone. And so we'll be quiet. We'll go on mute. And so we need to be more bold. We have a priestly function, we have a kingship function, and we have a prophetic function. Under the priestry, there's no problem, because that's where we bury them, we baptize them, and we do their weddings and all these other things. And they have no problem. But this area of kingship, leadership, when we begin to tell them, no, this is not the right thing, this is the way it should be, they begin to be uncomfortable. And we need more of that. We need more of that, so that we begin to provide proper guidance. I think at the moment, the majority, not that all the churches are like that, there are churches that are very serious, very focused, and they are really helping to develop their members. But an average church is just about that miracle, about that prophecy, about this and that. Not that there's anything wrong with this, but you cannot survive on fritters as a human being. You need a balanced diet.
Prophesying that God will take you to America.
Yes.
What is there in
creating
America?
a couch of laziness, actually. Creating a couch of laziness, because you think it's just a prayer away. No. The Proverbs, when you read it, it will tell you that, you have to work hard. You have examples of the ants. Problems will come. But maybe we were sleeping 7 years ago, 10 years ago. We should have been in the years of lack. We should have prepared in the years of plenty.
Absolutely.
So that kind of gap is what is the problem. Leaders that live for today, you have, I wouldn't want to say certain things, maybe I may not be a professional, but you need to have reserves of certain strategic things that you need in Zambia. For example, you need fuel.
That's right.
If you have fuel that is just for a few days, then that is planning to fail. And there, yes, a problem will be there, but the issue is, what are we doing in the short term and in the long term to ensure that such things don't repeat themselves. So we've not done well in terms of strategic thinking, in terms of ensuring that we make things that God has given us to work for us.
You talked about the prophetic role.
Yes, the prophetic role is where we announce and denounce. Yes, we announce and denounce. Sorry, this is not right. And we cannot tolerate it. And even if you are going to deny me, whatever support you are denying me, imagine if all of us, the church, first, Bishop, is very powerful. It is the most powerful institution, but yet operating as though it's a midget.
Because there are a lot of cowards in the pulpit.
Yes, the church is, we have people that other CSOs and other institutions, for them to gather people, they have to think of transport allowance. They have to think of a venue to hire. They have to think of, refreshments. Us, we don't have to think of that. People come on their own from their homes and they come to church and they sit on their own. And they go back on their own. There's no accommodation, no nothing. They'll pay these for themselves, and we play games with them. We play games with them. So we need to really ensure that these people are properly equipped so that when we tell them go into the world, they are armed with the right information, right attitudes and mindsets, including the politicians.
Father Chikoya, I want to say this. You also said your heart bleeds.
Yeah.
Mine does.
Yes.
And I think I need a lot of blood transfusion from the cross, because you tend to be losing spiritual blood due to the wound that is in here. I'll tell you something. When President Satandai became close, it was in 1990.
Yes.
1990. I always tell this story. I was buying something from a lady per street, and she didn't bother saving.
Wow.
She was so much in a hurry. Not mayo saving and yo, tuliako MMD. Hurry, kaunda fumepo. Hurry ona ule chala. Not mayo saving and she gave me change, which was over. She gave me more money than I expected. I said, Mama Nanomba, you've given me more change. But story short, Father Chikoya, I said to the woman, Ma'am, let me assure you, this MMD, when they come into power, without God, they will never change anything. Jesus said, without me, you can do nothing.
Yes.
When I made that statement also, when I did the live broadcast in Zambia, you remember we were the first to come on TV and we would block radios and when I made that statement, President Sata followed me. He came with journalists. How can you say MMD may so rest in peace? And my wife said, no, my husband is not a coward. But story short, when I went, she told me, Honorable Sata was here looking for you. The following day, I went to his office. I said, sir, you were looking for me. How can you say MMD can't change things? Bishop, I was called a unique person. When I speak on the wrongs, even today, how many people have called me to be a PF person? A PF person.
Yeah.
And they are even forgetting when no television station in Zambia could give by UPND power. My wife allowed 42 live broadcasts. Because me, I'm a pastor. I cannot hate President Lungu. I cannot hate President HH. These are my church members. I've always said this. I can't take sides. I'm on the middle. Today you find people saying, but those things I just ignore. But the point is this, Father Chikoya.
Yeah.
Surely, from 1991, we are singing the same song. By MMD, they blamed Bakaunda. When the MMD lost, PF began blaming the MMD. The PF Nava Fmapo, UPND is blaming the PF. Where are we going?
Yeah, I think we need to own up. The honorable thing when you have a problem is to realize before you blame others that you are part of the problem. Because we live in this Zambia, we've just only one Zambia, and if we continue to shift the blame, we are not going to deal with the problem. It's only when we, it's like even in couple counseling sessions, as long as the couple have put the problem in between them, that problem is not going to be solved. They need to move together and then say, here's our problem, and face it together. And so as Zambians, maybe we need more genuine kind of process of dialogue where we really get to the table. We have a problem, gentlemen. Where are our engineers? Where are the economists? Where, are these experts that can help us to be the men, like the men of Issachar, that understand the times and also what Zambia needs to do? So we need to have such kind of processes. And so the blame game is very easy, and we should be able to acknowledge that yes, the source of the problem is ABCD, but to continue to just sing that song forever and ever is actually going to be wasteful, and we waste our energy, our time. So what is needed is you've diagnosed. Imagine you've gone to a doctor and they've diagnosed your problem, and they keep on saying, it's because of mosquitoes, it's because of this, it's because of this. No, they should be able to, give you the medication. We have discovered my problem, whether I slept exposed or whatever. The issue is, I'm sick. I need a solution. And Absolutely. So we need the prognosis now. So we need to move from the issues of the problem and who did what, who didn't do what, to the prognosis. So how do we solve these problems? I think that is a critical challenge of our current leaders. Yes, they've told us, and we are saying we have heard you, but can we please acknowledge that we are in charge, and we begin to do what is needed to be done in order to create the Zambia we want to see. We are not going to create it if we are dilly-dallying on the very things we said we're going to change, and we are beginning to take time, or going through processes that are going to delay those processes further. So we need to make sure that if it's constitutional changes, let them be an urgent priority. If it's institutional reforms, let them be an urgent priority. Where we've not done well, for example, in the area of fuel, because fuel is a topical issue now. We can't beat about the bush. It is something that is affecting every Zambian, and people are, crying, because especially those that are poor, they are even becoming more vulnerable. And so are we going to still, today it's a war in Ukraine, the other day to be COVID-19, another day we don't know what will come in this world. And so what we need are people that are going to solve the problem.
Like you have said, Father Chikoya, yes. You see, when the economy went bad in PF, they said, oh, we have got COVID, which grounded planes, it grounded a lot. We understood.
Yes. Yeah.
Now we have the war in Iraq.
Yes.
In Ukraine.
Ukraine, yes.
Fuel has been there. And this government is saying, this is not of our making. Even COVID was not of our making.
Yes.
And everything. But what about, like you said, critical thinkers?
Yes.
Who can stand with the government and say, okay, we have a problem. We can't deny it.
Yes. Yes.
This is a global problem. Surely, can we be crying over this when we can offer solutions?
Yeah, we need, we need Joseph. You need the Joseph of today. Pharaoh could have easily just said, we are not quarter famine. So we have problems. So even our hunger and all these other things are justifiable. So how do you, make sure that you work around and get out of there? So we need to make sure that we have people that will know what needs to be done in the years of plenty and what needs to be done when you have lack. And so problems are there. And believe you me, this wars you will be ending that Ukraine war. There could be another one starting somewhere. There will be another problem. You know, there are people who are benefiting from these wars.
Of course.
They are manufacturers of weapons. That's a story that's not shared. There are people who are manufacturing weapons.
And testing the weapons.
Yes, testing, and they want to make money. And so while we've been complaining at COVID, others have been making money. COVID is a blessing to them. And the war is a blessing to them. And so we need to, as we align ourselves this way or that way, we need to really check ourselves. You know, there could be cheaper sources of actually even the same fuel. But because we want to be politically correct, we don't want to go for them. It is high time we began to think of ourselves and also see how best we can build relevant networks that will help us to get out of some of these challenges. And you know, some of the problems sometimes are a product of selfishness, are a product of people that don't really care for what they project to us. They have other interests. So we need to be very careful as a nation, but also we need to make sure that we look around. The Pharaoh looked around. Who can help me to interpret? Who can help me to, you know, do a diagnosis and a prognosis for this problem? And one who had an excellent spirit in him from God in the name of Joseph was found. And I don't think Zambia is, you know, short of such people. You've talked of that person working in Canada and is a Ghanaian. We do have Zambians, and we need to bring them on board. We need to bring them on board, regardless of who they are, what they stand for. If they are able to bring something on the table, let's engage them. And so that is what will help us to go forward. But as long as the moment we have this political party, it will be only those that think like us, talk like us, sing like us. We are not getting anywhere. We need to really be one Zambia, one nation, a country that is united, a country that acknowledges we have problems, we have potential, but how do we harness this potential? We can't do it when we are working in silos and puncturing holes in each other. We can't make it.
Father Chikoya, you talked about mindset. I came from Hong Kong some time back and spent some 4 days in Thailand. The amazing part of it, one of my church members who invited me to go with him, Joe Kabuswe, he booked a room for me. We were staying with him at this Holiday Inn in Thailand. This Thailand Holiday Inn, the big one, Central Town, it has a connection, or the buildings are joined to one of the tallest buildings in Thailand.
Okay.
And this, everyone who's been to Thailand, they know about this building. It is called African Gemstone Building. The owner of that building, even up to now, built that tall building from the gemstone in Africa. And a part of it came from Lundazi, Zambia, and these emeralds here. There is a tall building, taller than Findeko. What stops people like us to think, okay, I'm going to build a building like that? What stops people from making an open market, clean the stones and everything, let these people come and buy from us?
I think it's a vested interests. You know, if people find it easier. There are people who are getting at personal level. And so they wouldn't want to create situations where certain things are localized and you ensure that, you know, you are able to process your minerals, your resources. I mean, why should we, if we talk about our mines, even on Chingola and others, you'll find there's a country where there's a university built by our copper. And a country that doesn't mine that copper is getting royalties from our copper. And and there we are talking about copper every year, copper in and out. We need to change the story. I mean, why should our children be fighting over the Black Mountain when they should be in that boardroom as shareholders? The headmen, the chiefs, they are so comfortable to easily give away their land. We need to change. In Botswana, in South Africa, they become stakeholders. They are shareholders. There's nothing like letting go of these blessings. So I think we get it wrong because of selfishness, because of greed, and what I can gain as an individual. Our friends see the bigger picture of their country, and they do things that will bless their country. So we need to begin to think, from a perspective of selflessness. Of course, people should be able to earn a living, but when you do so at the expense of the entire nation, I think you are worse than a pagan. We need to make sure that things are done that will help us to make our resources work for the good of this country. How can you import even a toothpick? Sure. We were just issuing a statement, although it may be a bit late on the issues of sourcing for pause. How do you get all that money? Take it out.
In fact, I want to play you just talking about that.
Yeah.
Because I want to say something on that. I was interested, and I will be able to play the clip in a moment. One of the things, Father Chikoya, which I failed to understand, the businessmen and women who did well in UNIP, when MMD came into power, they eclipsed those, even those who were genuine, to say you were UNIP. When MMD lost, PF eclipsed those in one of the examples I can tell you. Look at how they closed the Finance Bank, a Zambian bank, different from Meridian banks, because these two banks closed on two different reasons.
Yes.
But because of political will or political interest, I come into power. Father Chikoya has made money in PF. When I come in UPND, I have to see to it that Father Chikoya doesn't benefit now in the Why do we have such mentality of not having a national spirit to say, irrespective of where you made your money, how you made your money, let's come together and sit and see the way forward? Why do we have such a mentality?
Yeah, I think, of course, it's an issue of wanting to fix political opponents, which is very wrong. It is not a sin to belong to a political party. We're a democratic country, and people have freedom of association. People must belong to a political party of their choice, and it shouldn't be a crime. So the way we are doing our politics is that it is a crime for you to belong to a political party. You run a business and you are known, and then you be made
by
to
the
pay,
government of the
and
day.
you be made to pay. I mean, look at the Post newspaper. It was deliberately just sabotaged and killed. And you've given that example of people that were thriving and their businesses, and they employed people. And you come in, you brutally bring them to a standstill. You squeeze them to an extent that they can't even do any business. And at the end of the day, you are very happy. The mentality, it is our turn now. It is our turn. Zambia belongs to all of us. And every Zambian has a stake in this country called Zambia. And therefore, we should allow one another. I think our politics, if there's anything that needs to change, we need to mature. We need to go to a level where you will not be, interacted with, even if it's business with government or any other institution. Because even the private sector, once they know you are not politically correct, they will shun you.
Absolutely.
Government departments will shun you. And at the end of the day, you sink together with your employees. And so, who is actually gaining? People who think they are empowered in that particular season will think they are gaining, but they are actually not gaining, but they are losing because they've lost, an opportunity to empower and, if anything, enhance a Zambian business. And we are not going to get anywhere as long as we are so dependent on foreign multinational companies, because little remains in Zambia. They get all that resource. They will remain. I mean, they will pay our workers, meager salaries. The huge chunk of that money is externalized. If you look at Maisen stores, look at ZCBC. I worked for one of the banks. Those days you'd even see, and I was working in the Treasury Department, you could see the flows of money because these shops were ours. The moment we changed and brought in the foreign companies, that money is banked with their own banks. And there's little or nothing that remains in Zambia. So as long as we don't get it right, we think we are fixing Mr. A or Mrs. B in the name of politics. We are actually fixing ourselves. And so we need to mature from that type of politicking. There must be continuity. Yes, change should be there, but continuity also has to be part of the agenda, so that the things that work are replicated, enhanced, and encouraged. You were just showing me something about some company that is Zambian.
This one,
and
Father Chikoya.
Yeah.
Mr. Director, please open the lines, put the lines there. Those of you that are calling and don't call yet, those who are writing the text messages, please write, and let's get ready for this. Now, when you said something, my blood was boiling. Take a look at this clip. You said it today, and it has gone viral. And at the time you said it, I was blessed with this magazine. It's called The Economist. I don't know if somebody can see that. The Economist. This magazine, is the latest magazine. It's written March 26th to April 1st. Okay? I know there is something. Now, I want my director to play a clip that made me say, where are we going, Lord? My director, please give me the clip about these tenders that were floated to Zimbabweans and South Africa.
The Council of Churches in Zambia, CCZ, has noted with great concern the move by the Zambia Electricity Supply Corporation to shortlist 10 Zimbabwean and South African companies for the supply and delivery of 9 and 12-meter wooden poles, a decision that would greatly disadvantage local business. CCZ has taken time to start the statement issued by ZESCO to appreciate how the decision was arrived at. We must make mention that though the justifications indicated in the letter statement appear reasonable, it is our considered view that this decision needs to be reviewed so that Zambian suppliers equally have an opportunity to participate. The Zambian economy is not doing very fine. We need as much of our money as possible to be retained and circulated within the Zambian economy so that the local entrepreneurs and ultimately the Zambian people benefit. The identified capacity gaps and challenges can and should be resolved as a matter of urgency through the Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises. The local suppliers can be given tenders to supply according to their existing capacities, while long-term processes of capacity building are being undertaken to remedy the situation. Externalizing all the money through the award of tenders to foreign companies is not a good decision.
Father Chikoya, please shed some more light. When I heard this, these are some of the things that I've been saying from UNIP. MMD, in case there are boys and girls who are coming on the platform today who may prejudge me and say, Pastor Chiluba, I forgive all of you that have no idea who Pastor Chiluba is and what he believes in. I forgive you. And my wife forgives you, by the way. I've been saying this. Japan was not developed by Zambians. China was not developed by the Congolese. We are the only people who gives away things. The word poor is defined at what is this P-O-O-R, passing on opportunities repeatedly. That's how they've defined that. Now, just in today, I was blessed with this magazine. I want my director to zoom, my cameraman, if he can see some of these things. This is Savenda Group, Open of Business, that's by a Zambian, Clever Mpoa. And there is also this here, the story. Can you pick this there? Just pick this side also. This is a story about the economics that Zambia is doing. You know what this article, Father Chikoya, is saying? These people, they've appreciated that a Zambian company, among many companies that are employing people, they are doing this, and they've stated their net worth of the company.
Yeah.
Surely, even if this company is not in that, and other companies in Zambia, even if they are not in energy, you mean the money they have, if they floated the tender, Father Chikoya, Zambians can fail to deliver the post. You have to give it to Zimbabweans and South Africans.
No, I find that difficult, to have 100% award or shortlisting of tenders of this nature to foreign-based companies is not a very wise move. And I say this not because that we should be xenophobic. Zambia has always been, a very hospitable country in the region. We've welcomed, actually we suffered with so many of our colleagues that have actually totally neglected us and were mistreating us actually once they got independence. But that is what under the bridge. Jesus even said, you cannot take food for the children. And he was very crude. So I'm not going to go to what he said. He said, you need, so in short, he was saying, you before you feed others, take care of your children.
Love others as you love yourself.
Yes.
Before you love others, love yourself first.
So that is what will determine how you love others. And so, yes, we accommodate different people that have run away from war and all those things. We have no quarrel with that. But the moment when we deliberately get our resources and take them, there's no devil here. There's no one holding a gun to our hand, to our head. But we're taking the resource out of the country, and we don't want to have a local entrepreneur empowered. That is not acceptable. We need to make sure that Zambian companies are helped. And if they are lacking capacity, that ministry and any other technocrat or people that provide technical services, they must come on board and ensure that people are capacitated and we make these things work for Zambia. It's very, very irresponsible to take resources when you actually, your economy is on its knees and you are getting money away.
You bring the...
No. That is not acceptable, and we need to rethink. They must, and sometimes it's a challenge of, I don't know whether it's more beneficial for certain individuals to deal with foreign-based companies.
Obviously,
and
because
not deal with
things
their own
like
people.
This bishop. For me, I just think that even people who award the tenders, they must be investigated year after year, year after year. You can't be empowering foreigners when you're nationals, because even nine mumfako Father Chikoya ati tenda ngepoiri na Congolese ndaram na Congola na twane msheni kwa pose kus Mozambique ndete kuno. As long as the government pays me or pays you, that money will remain here. I give the balance to those people. Do you have to do anyway? This, like you said, the Zambian people should take interest in such, and also, I'm sure when it reaches the president, such things, they are anomalies. We can't accept that.
Yeah, this is not acceptable. You smell a fish here. There must be something that is off. And you know, not just this, maybe you can take advantage, also talk of the supply of certain things, uniforms in certain sectors. They are imported. Tailors are already disadvantaged with all these second-hand clothes. When there's an opportunity to buy, you know, uniforms for these sectors that require uniforms, you still import them from somewhere. And so the issue is, who has bewitched us? Like what is wrong with our thinking?
Like you said, Father Chikoya.
Yes. Why should we do that?
When the tender for fire engines,
yes,
I looked at those fire engines.
Yes.
I went on the internet. I asked my friends in America. I said, give me the latest fire tenders that you have.
Yes.
When I saw those things are just 240, 240, some are 180, which can go to about 5 to 6 story buildings.
Yes.
And I come and see, why award 1 million? One fire tender, surely, where are we going to?
When you can get 4.
Another thing comes back now, you are awarding a pause to foreign countries.
Yeah.
No.
I think this is not, you know, one of the challenges, maybe it's because we are very passive as Zambians. We need to be able to say, this one is not going to work. We should be able, yes, we can pray, but at times you need to also be able to say, no, we are going to raise our voices. We are going to issue statements. We are going to speak until this is reversed. I think that energy, that zeal is lost. I don't know whether it's a sense of resignation within ourselves. We must speak. We must be able to make the right noise until something is done. You know, so things like this require a campaign where you're able to say, no. We are raising, it could be a yellow flag or a red flag against this kind of approach. We must make sure from going forward. And I mean, let's appreciate, we've heard the president say, desks will not be imported. And we want to walk the talk. We should not just, you know, the president will give that statement. The people under him should not begin to do other things behind his back.
Imagine?
You know, so we need to make sure, make the desks locally, ensure that things that require, you know, tailoring and things like that are made locally. If there's a capacity gap, let's begin to empower this CDF. I hope it won't be bonanza and Christmas time for some. Let proper and real empowerment be given so that all these deficiencies will be a thing of the past. To a large extent, let's empower our own people. Yes.
This is where, Father Chikoya, sorry to say this, I'm a person who is very objective. When I see that even the fight for corruption is towards Zambians, my heart is at pain. Where are the Lebanese? Where are the Chinese? Where are other nationals? Why haven't they brought these people? Because there are guys that I know. One guy is a Lebanese. I won't mention him. He came to Zambia not too long ago, about 20 years ago. Father Chikoya, he told me he ran away from Liberia with $2,000. He comes here in Zambia. Today is a millionaire. If I tell you the name of the company, you'll be shocked. He came with $2,000 and he says, Pastor Chilwa, oh, Zambia is heaven.
Yes.
This country, if you can't make money here,
yes,
you will never make it. And he got the loan from here.
Yes.
One guy, you were a banker, one foreigner just came some 10 years ago, I think 10, 15 years ago. He came to Mukush, a white guy. He got the loan from one of the banks. You bankers, you know what I'm talking about. Because at the time I was being persecuted for Kasmo loan nakwete, ukuli la church, bantwala kona kote 3 times by father. I was at the High Court. Kulubulu la fiecho na filiro kulipira interest. That time, a white man had gotten $2 million US. The man has gone up to today. This story is known by the bank I'm talking about. So, why should you persecute your own and you leave foreigners?
I think that the fight against crime and corruption where the credible cases must go on. But like you have put it rightly, if this crime of corruption is only targeted and it appears to be applied in a manner that is discriminatory, then you will find people be jumping to conclusions that it is political persecution. And so one of the challenges that I see with our current fight against corruption, it is very haphazard. You know, have you ever seen a lion that will tell an impala, I'm coming to hunt you? A lion and a leopard is going hunting. It's making an announcement. Let our the anti-corruption and all these security wings work discreetly, work professionally. Then all these issues, if Zambians are corrupt, who is corrupting them? Who is dangling the carrots before them? And so if we are going to deal with the leaves and we leave the branches and the roots, then we are fighting a losing battle. And so there is need for a comprehensive approach in the fight against corruption. And that is where our colleagues elsewhere, not that they are perfect, but they do better because they are very thorough in their investigations. And once they pounce, they are likely to succeed. But we hear of Enole, you hear of this one, and rearrest, and then, in the last few days I've been getting concerned. I'm wondering, are we playing games? And in the meantime, you are paying lawyers, you are spending all these resources, and are we justifying the battle in terms of what we are investing and what we are getting out of it? Apart from the one that surrendered the 65 million, how much are we gaining? So we need to make sure that these investigations, where they are necessary, they must be done in such a way that they don't send the message out there that people are being harassed. And we should also take note as well that there could be corruption going on even within the current leaders. And so we shouldn't wait again until when they're in power to start, because that is too late. Because they would have, if people are crooked, will get smarter and even more subtle. By the time you get to investigate them, you will find there's no trace. They have sharp lawyers. They can hire the best of the best. And so at the end of the day, we find ourselves in a vicious cycle where it appears we are not gaining any ground. So yes, let's make sure that we check if a Zambian is corrupt, who has been corrupting them, and what are we doing about them? And the people who are complaining will be justified.
Why has the church been quiet in the areas of development? Look at what you spoke about the tendering of. This is unheard of. It's a plus for the church, where you say, no, this tender is not clear. It's got some gray areas. Let's come smart. Why has the church been quiet from the time of our parents, Mafaya tenders, Mulifi? Why has the church been quiet? Why don't we speak? I
would say there is a remnant of the church that speaks and has been speaking. But of course you need more voices. And at times we've tended to contradict each other, actually. One of the reasons is a competition for recognition by the powers that be. And like drivers, you are told don't drive under the influence of alcohol. Equally, men of God and women of God should not speak or do things under the influence of gifts. So that is one of the reasons why, because they'll cause accidents, just like drivers will cause accidents. So the reasons why sometimes we don't speak is because we can't bite the finger that is feeding us. And one of the greatest misleading kind of things that the devil has managed to do to us as church leaders is to think we cannot unless there's a big giver in the name of a politician. There's no project that we can undertake unless there's a guest of honor from a government and all these other things. We can, and we have the capacity. I know of a church that has built a state-of-the-art building and they targeted their members, and they raised the money, and they've built without a bank loan, without a bank loan in Zambia. Not elsewhere. So we have the capacity. So it is that kind of defective thinking in our mind. Let's handle them with care. These are the main people that give to the church.
Big buyer.
And so we are too respectful when we should be speaking truth to power. And so that is some of the, among the men, the general church has tended. Others, it's just ignorance. Others, it's defective theology. They think those are things of the world. These are the things of God.
Separate from the church.
Yeah, so that is where that dichotomy makes them to have a defective understanding where, we are the salt of the earth and the light of the earth. But salt can still be salt and be in a container. And so many churches are like salt on that shelf in ShopRite or any other shopping mall. It is on that shelf. And unless it is bought, and even when you buy it, it's still in the plastic. Open the plastic, let it mingle.
Put it on the stove in the pot.
Then the tastiness becomes tasteful. The decaying, is stopped from decaying. That is what salt does. If the church preaches a gospel that does not disturb the status quo, that is not the church of Jesus Christ. Because when the prophets came, when someone appeared, they were asking him, have you come in peace? That should show that Tapari Chivereshi. When the prophet came, they will be asking him, have you come in peace? Yes, because they never came anyhow. But these days we are drinking coffee, we are everywhere. And one thing is what is painful. You go to drop a letter at State House. You find even someone in a paper shirt, a bishop, busy trying to line up there. At one stage, we received a letter. Some of these people that own certain businesses may not be Christian, but no one forces us to take it there. We can't create them. And you know that if we decided to work together as a church, in the real sense of the word, and just took stock of the offerings we take to banks on Monday, and decided to say, let's find a mechanism to make this money work in the church, will be a force to reckon with.
And that's a problem that we have, Bishop. Yes. Because we have Christians who've got money. Yes. Here is somebody with a wonderful project, but they have no money.
Yes.
Here is somebody with money, but no thinking capacity to create wealth.
Yes.
If they are creating, it's for themselves. And it is so painful. And here, Father Chikoya, I believe that the church should not work far from where the politicians are. I'm telling you, like you said, we are the salt. And I would like to appeal to politicians who think this pastor is a thorn in the flesh. Once you have people who agree with you, at all times, you go wrong. I tell a story of a pastor, Father Chikoya, who was a dictator in nature. He drew up the church, fantastic. It was state of the art, as you said. Opening day, because he didn't want the members to contribute. Opening day, people were oppressed. They wanted to go to the washrooms and what? And there were no washrooms. He forgot the toilets in his planning. So when you cannot be advised or be told as a pastor to say, here, man of God, woman of God, you are wrong. If you can't be told, you are done. And I think we live in a country, we live in Africa, where leaders want to be celebrated. Even where there is no song, you have to know how to dance. That kind of leadership. I don't think we are going to help this nation.
No. We have sung enough songs. Actually, please, dear Zambians, let's not get carried away by all these songs that they cheat us with every time we have campaigns. We have sung enough songs. What we want are solutions. We don't want entertainment. If you analyze these things, even when you go to the Roman Empire days, they brought in the entertainment and all these amphitheaters to hoodwink the people, to pacify them, refuse to be carried away by dancing skills of people and all these songs and whatever they hire. Let them bring solutions on the table. Let them have a clear agenda. And let's sober up also, even as politicians. Let's not overpromise. Let's be able to be sober and be able to promise to deliver things that are achievable. And Rome was not built in a day. Because sometimes, again, you can rush with certain things. For example, increasing the CDF is very excellent. But do we have the capacity? Do these people that are supposed to be handling these resources have the capacity to handle it properly? Believe you me, the DC's office does not have the capacity. We need to have financial systems that will be able to clearly check, assess, just like when you apply for a project funding, you know, from a credible institution, they will never give you money. They will do field assessments, they will check your accounting procedures, your governance processes. By the time they give you, for example, if you get any from these international institutions, you are a truly credible institution. When they give you their $1 or whatever amount, you are credible. And we want just to give people, he has never handled you know, money and of that magnitude. You give them money, they go mad. They can't produce properly because they've not handled that money. They don't have the capacity. And so we need to work hard in ensuring the relevant systems, the capacity of the people, the attitudes of the people are, you know, changed. And then we'll be able to have that money working and producing excellent initiatives. But if we don't, you know, you employ large number of people and you take them to a village like, you know, in is it Changombo, and there's no house. So how is that teacher going to be there? Accommodation is pathetic. To get a salary, they have to get almost so much of their salary again to go and get the salary. So we need to get all these correct and in place. Then you'll be telling the people, you have been assigned to this village, you remain here, the basics are here.
There is a story, Father Chikoya. One of the pastors who is an entrepreneur is employing a lot of youths.
Yeah.
And you know, on the Copperbelt, I won't mention the town, but is employing a lot of these youths on drugs. He's got this, a lot of things, and they are building the church. That man is not PF, is not UPND, is not anything. When he was a supplier of KCM, they've removed his name from there. And he said, the pastor, we've been told that you are PF. And they've removed his name. He's a pastor. And many stories like that, they come, you know, to light, where the pastors want to help. And once the president, HH, comes to know some of these stories, I always say this, Father Chikoya, that umusungu tapata bantu bakapitawo mulomo. Because right now, as things are happening, President HH may not even know what is on the ground.
No.
He's concentrating to build this nation, to do this, but the people there, middle managers, a lot of things are happening, I can tell you. Government after government, Pastor. Some of the presidents don't even know. If my building is fiable, no, the president has sent me Ministry of Lands. The president has sent me. There is one man who got a very big land in Serenje. He says the president has said he gets this land many years ago. No, what should I tell the president? No, wait. They gave him land and he pocketed. He has 5 lands in the name of the president. And so, like you said, even in the current government, corruption may be going on and the president doesn't know it. And if we, the church and the people around, don't alert him, we are going to label him again a bad president.
It's very, you know, leading a nation is not that easy. You need a team of people that are credible. You need a team of people that are honest, and you need people that will be able to run and understand the vision. You know, when you're a leader who casts the vision, those followers must understand and work at the level, if not double, the level that he expects of them. And so sometimes what draws things, like you've said, are these people that are in it for themselves. So you could have leaders that are generally meant well, but the team ends up, letting them down. And so it's very possible for certain things to be happening, for certain people to be, punished because they are alleged to belong to a particular political party. I think for me, genuinely, without beating about the bush, that type of politicking is not helpful. It is a danger to democracy. If somebody is doing legitimate business, they have not broken any law, let them supply, let them do business, because by denying them that business, you are killing so many other people that depend on them.
Absolutely.
In the real sense of the word, not just figuratively speaking, you are killing people that are employed, and people that these employees sponsor and assist. So we need to graduate and mature from that type of politicking. We have been told, and we want to believe this is genuine, that this will be a government that rules by the rule of the law. There will be the restoration of the rule of the law, and there is a commitment to treat every Zambian equally. That is a clear message that has been heard. Can these other lower ranks be checked so that they are aligned to that particular vision, so that nobody is victimized? When somebody owns some property in Choma, they attacked it in January. Was it January or just after the elections? We're among the first to issue a statement and condemn it, because they said you were supporting this particular political party, and they've attempted to they actually did vandalize his property. We said that is not to be the case, and so we will never support such kind of acts, because that is taking our democracy backwards, and that is a bad testimony on who we are. Largely a Christian nation in terms of its population. We need to treat each other with that respect, with that love. I mean, we've quarreled enough. We've had misunderstandings that are very petty. It's high time we go to a level where we say, let's forget the past. But of course, the attitude of Zacchaeus should come in also. For those that know, they should be able to willingly say,
I stole this.
Yes. And
I took this, I will return it.
I will give half to the poor. Some of these things that people hold on to, when we are dead, yes, the grave will be expensive, the coffin will be expensive, but we are not taking anything to the grave.
No.
We have a short time on earth. And so the best thing to do is to live in such a way that your life, my life, becomes a donation. It's not about the duration. And so all these resources, let's move out from the mentality of the rich fool who said, I've done very well, let me break these small bands and build bigger ones. Then I'll sit back and enjoy.
And tell my soul.
Yes.
Drink and be merry.
No. And that very night, God will say, I'm taking away my life from you. So what will happen to all these things that you have, that you've actually even hidden? That other people, where you've hidden them, will benefit from them.
I'm telling you. Your wife doesn't know.
They don't even
know. You have an offshore account.
Yeah. So we need to make sure that we get to a mentality of a people that know we have been blessed to be a blessing. We have been connected to connect others. That mentality in the leadership and among the rank and file of Zambians will help us to create the Zambia we want to see.
I think I'm going to come further, Chikoya. We talk about the 4 ways how the church can get involved, so that we suggest some ways how the church can work with the government of the day and develop this nation. But before we do, at that same press conference, you brought a very saddening story, which I think the people of Zambia need to know, of this foreigner whose goat went into the deep, 9 meters deep,
It did go into the ditch. That's where they throw them, I guess.
That's where they throw them?
I think so, but I'm not too sure anyway.
Then the workers were told to go and retrieve
the tag.
The tag from the goat. Mm-hmm. And then they suffocated and died.
Yes.
And that is in Zambia.
Yes. Yes.
And it happened this year.
Yes, just a few days ago, last week.
Mr. Director, play me that clip. This Zambia, Chualwala. Play me that clip. Let the nation see what goes on in this nation.
The Council of Churches in Zambia wishes to call for speedy investigations into the circumstances which led to the death of 2 farm workers whom it is alleged were instructed by the farm owner, Mr. Anton Sido, to remove an ear tag from a dead goat in a 9-meter well, and consequently suffocated and died in the process. We deeply sympathize with the 2 families on the loss of their loved ones in such a very unfortunate and painful manner. We pray that they may find strength in the Lord as they come to terms with this reality. Nevertheless, it is our considered view that very thorough investigations be undertaken and all people involved in this matter arrested regarding this matter. Human life is sacred, and therefore all lives matter, whether rich or poor. Hence our appeal to the Zambia police, culprits without discrimination. However, we are pleased to note that the relevant authorities have taken keen interest into the incident. It is our prayer and hope that this matter will not die a natural death after the visit.
This case, Father Koya, saddened me.
Yeah.
And if this case will not be a national issue and bring the culprit to book, I don't know which Zambian will be safer. Because here it's not a question of being a farm worker or general manager or minister.
Yeah.
We need this story to come up, to bring out this issue. When I heard, I was almost in tears. You can't treat people like that. To just go and retrieve the tag from the ear of the goat.
Imagine.
You lose 2 families.
Imagine, yeah. You know, there are a lot of injustices and abuses that are going on in the people that are doing blue-collar jobs, people that are working in farms, people that are working in these factories. Lives of these poor people are dispensable. You know, they can just, treat them like chickens and goats and things like that. And quite a number of them have gotten away scot-free. You know, people have been locked in very, very unsafe conditions, and they survive by the grace of God. And and yet we have our leaders in place, we have security systems in place, and I mean, in this case, the DC's office visited that person.
The DC office?
Yes, the whole DC went to visit.
And why are they quiet?
I got this clip from a colleague who is based in the UK, and he said, "Are you aware of this?" I said, "No, I didn't even see it on news." So we then said we'll do something about it and write something. The little that we can do is to write and see how we can keep the momentum and this case alive. So the people generally that work in farms are ill-treated. And this is not beating about the bush. This is not about, we know there are Zambians who are white, there are Zambians who are, of all kinds of races. But at the end of the day, what many ways of ensuring justice prevails, you should be able to deduct, and then lives are spared. But to force people to go down that, an explanation that was being given was, I was not even there. It is an expectation that they should bring the tag. Obviously, those workers were not working on their own. They know the authority and the command that has come from their boss and the owner of the farm. And so he should own up. I think the excuses, I listened to the clip, the actual clip, I have it. I'll share the link. It's very lame, that I wasn't even on site. So what? because your word is authoritative enough.
Yeah.
You don't need to be present. People know the consequences of failing to meet your demands. And so this is a matter, I think, that requires people, including the owner, to be brought to to task. They must be made accountable.
The result of this, Zescopos and also this goat issue, they should be made public. Why is it? Are there no Zambians who can supply POS?
Yeah.
We should hold our people accountable.
Definitely.
Why should you send 2 people to go and retrieve a tag from a goat which is dead?
Imagine.
Surely, the outcome of this should be made public. You know, Father Chikoya, me, I sound to be controversial if somebody doesn't know me, but I like justice. Those are Zambians. Even if he's a farm worker, that's life.
Yes.
Suppose that was my father.
Yes.
Suppose that was my brother.
Yes.
Would I rejoice?
No.
No, this somebody must account for the 2 lives that have been lost.
Yeah, that is murder. We should not beat about the bush. This is not an accident. This is murder. you cannot send 2 people in a 9-meter wall, well, and at the same time. And there's no safety there.
And if you don't punish a person because he's foreigner or is Muzungu, they will continue doing the same thing.
Yeah.
If I was in charge, I would send him to go and say, go and retrieve the same tag you win. How you come out, I don't care. Surely, this is life. This is life.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, Father Chikoya, before we open up the lines, how can the church participate to help President of the Church, to help the UPND maintain the momentum they've come up with? How can we develop this nation? Of course, one of the things that I feel, Father Chikoya, the government should not be delinked from the church. We have a lot of information, we have a lot of brilliant people, we have a lot of projects which we can float there. Take it or leave it.
Yeah.
Advice can be taken or it can be left. But I think developing Zambia is a national agenda. It's not a political agenda.
Yes. Yeah. The church needs first and foremost to be very knowledgeable. An ignorant church is also a danger to itself and a danger to the country. So in the first place, we just need to be knowledgeable. Let us be what is going on in all these strategic institutions that are called parastatals and all these other things. Because at the end of the day, it is ours, actually. It is ours. It doesn't belong to any other person. It is ours. Absolutely. When we hear stories of this nature, including the story of that young girl that is lost up to now, we should be able to say how and why. We must ask those questions. But at the same time, the church is one of the institutions that is present everywhere. It is present everywhere. Absolutely. Where you may not even find a government office, you may find the church there. And so the church needs to be able to say, to engage deliberately with the local authorities, to participate in those ward development committees, but in a non-partisan manner. The church should participate and collaborate with line government ministries on areas of common interest. The church should participate. For example, one of the areas is Child Health Week. They are opening the churches and things are able to be done through that facility. So, and when we see challenges on the ground, let's raise alarm. Sometimes issue statements. Invite the MP. Imagine churches in Kanyama just telling the MP, we want to meet with you over a cup of tea. We will pray together. But where are we? Where do you think you are taking us as our leader? What is it that we can do together? The church should take interest in the CDF. Let's not wait until things are bad. Let's take interest now. Who is being given this support and why? So that we don't get to the table and it's too late to begin to do firefighting. So at local level, let the church take interest. What has been allocated to this area? We have programs, for example, in CCZ, fighting inequality. There's a Kuyanjana project. and people have to physically go to schools, hospitals, and check. So much has been given. How is this trickling down to our district? You know, so the church must take interest, and when it is doing that, it is not being secular, it is not being worldly, it's being a watchdog. So the church should play a watchdog role. The church should advocate. When we talk about the relationship, we should not be too familiar, but again, we should not be too distanced. We should be able to advocate on issues that require attention, and we shouldn't be apologetic about it. But at the apex level, you know, where you have the church mother bodies and all these things, I would it would be good to have some kind of periodic endeavor. You know, not because there's a problem, because usually when we engage with politicians, it's either you ask for a courtesy call or there's a problem. We should not be meeting because there are problems. We must be meeting strategically, periodically, with even all the other sectors, economists, whoever they are, regardless of which political party they belong to or ethnicity. We bring them together periodically to exchange ideas, to brainstorm, to check how you know, that sector could contribute. The church can and must contribute. You know, the church today should move away from a single income source. The church could actually even invest. You know, I mean, you look at the church, some of the churches that we belong to, they own shares in some mines.
Absolutely.
That are even present in Zambia. Why shouldn't the church in Zambia begin to own you know, shares in there? And when there are challenges, you will not be speaking from outside. You will be on the table and say, you cannot treat people like this. You cannot make people work in conditions like this. You cannot be doing this to the environment, because we have a stake. And I think we have the capacity. We can. Absolutely. And we must get there. Absolutely. So let's take interest in investment opportunities. Let's take interest in grouping ourselves together and see, how do we make this money? You know, there's a particular grouping of people, for the sake of being misunderstood, I won't mention them directly, but by the time money gets out of their circulation, it would have moved from about 12 times. That's moves from this person to that one, to that one. But us, immediately we get it, it goes. It goes. You know? And even before it gets to us, yes, it's all. You know, so why don't we have an endeavor as church? I think there's need. Of course, one will be saying, you are in the motherboard. Why don't you promote it? We'll promote it. We have actually begun the brainstorming. We
Camlet TV will be there. Anything to do with this nation.
Yes,
Father Chikwaya.
Yes.
You can count on my wife to send the crew. We will be there, whatever it takes.
Yes.
Because I believe that we were born for greatness.
Yes.
And Zambia is a great nation.
Yes, it is.
You know?
Yes, it is. We need to come together as church and yes, pray and do all those things, but we tell ourselves, where are we missing it? What kind of church should we be? In which space are we, you know, not present, and how best can we collectively participate in this?
And agenda? Also, Bishop, you know, the government should take a deliberate move in some of these commissions they set up. Let them fuse in church leaders. Yes, because there are certain things, Bishop, which you can't solve academically. Yes. You need the wisdom of God, like you talked about Joseph. Yes. You need to find out if the government just says, okay, labor commissioner there, human rights commissioner, you fuse in this. That is one way we are going to get somewhere. Yeah, definitely it is. Just a quick correction. in our setting, I'm just a priest. Oh, you are a priest? I'm not a bishop, so... Just like you called me a bishop when I'm a pastor in our setting. Because of your so many years in ministry. No, I'm a pastor. Okay, so, lest others misunderstand that we are masquerading. Claiming titles that don't belong to us. But I think it is important on merit when people are put in certain spaces to serve the country, because they can be, I mean, there are church leaders that can be able to help in reforms that are needed in some of these sectors. So, but it must be
those that are non-partisan in nature.
Absolutely.
For example, yeah, you need think tanks around certain thematic areas, and you are able to interact with them. So when there's a deliberate kind of process, you know, issues of dialogue, for example, and instead of having an ad hoc arrangement, we need to have a system that is legally supported and you know, and put in place, backed by law, where you can be able to know there will be so many church leaders here, there will be so many from this industry or from that expertise, and they are able to come together and be deployed to help, you know, promote, you know, dialogue and matters of that nature. And we could do the same on so many other thematic areas. So,
absolutely.
And done from a perspective where it is not about supporting a particular political party, but ensuring that the national agenda of development and peace building, reconciliation, etc. is done. That would be okay. Yeah.
Father Chikoya, let me at this time open the lines, because I know families have been just waiting. Pastor, when are you opening the lines? Mm-hmm. When are you and I have so much to say.
Yes.
But maybe in my exposition, I've left certain things, and we can be corrected on matters we don't understand.
Yes.
But as a family of Camnet TV viewers, the lines are now open. Please give us a call, and you should make sure that you call us on 0968 675 273. That line is directly going to the studio, and you'll be able to reach us. And when you contribute, you don't have to be vulgar. You don't have to insult or demean anybody who is not in the studio to defend himself or herself. Let's be gender-based, balanced, and let's respect our mothers, our fathers, our elderly people. This is Camnet TV, not just another channel. The lines are open. Mr. Director, while we are waiting for the calls, please give us the text messages. Good evening, Pastor Chiluba and Father Chikoya. A wonderful topic indeed. The church should participate in developing the nation. In our nation, the church retains the highest number of qualified human resource that needs to be used in contributing to national development. However, lack of exposure to most, right information by some church leaders, and wanting to be known as the richest man of God in the city breeds selfishness even in the followers. What would you say to that, Father Chikoya? Let's pick up the call first.
Okay.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Pastor Chiluba.
How are you, sir?
I'm fine, thank you.
What's your name and where you're calling us from?
My name is Pastor Chatika Sengele. I'm calling from Kasana.
Pastor?
Chatika Sengele.
Chatika
Kasengele.
Kasengele.
Yes, please.
Please speak to the nation.
Thank you very much. Father Chikoya, good evening.
Good evening, Pastor. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Fine, thank you. Yes, I've been following the conversation. Very powerful, very informative. And I believe, the most important point we're talking about here is the voice of the church. Because I do understand and I do believe, even as a preacher of God's truth and God's word, that indeed, under God's order, it was under the authorization of God himself, that it was the man of God, the servant of the Lord, that was the counsel, that held counsel to the whole world, especially to the leaders. I can cite an example of certain men of God like Nathan, who was not afraid to talk to David and reprimand him for the wrong that he did when he actually went for Bathsheba, who was another person's wife. That is what we need at the moment. As the church, through the leaders of the church, we need to speak especially to our leaders, and we need to tell them the truth. I think the problem came in at a certain time when, indeed, men of God, like you have even mentioned, that especially during the past 10 years or so, where a lot of pastors, a lot of bishops were running to places like State House, to the offices of political leaders, going to look for things and things, something like that. This was the biggest mistake. Of course, our politicians, I know, that they know very well that the church is a very powerful influencer of the people. And so if they took these leaders and put them on their side, then even the church leaders will influence their people to be on their side. I think this was the biggest mistake that we made as a church. And people have been complaining very bitterly that the church, you have let us down. Our church leaders, you have let us down, because they know that we as the church are the voice of the people. You can imagine Pastor and Father Chikoya. It was because of men of God like Eli and his two sons, Hophni and Phinehas. Those are the ones that were responsible for the defeat of the Israelites by the Philistines, and the covenant book was stolen. It was because of men of God like the sons of Samuel, in the days of Abijah and Joel, who caused the people of Israel to reject God and ask for a king. Now, these are the mistakes that we can equally make if we're not speaking out the truth as the church. It's very important that going forward, we speak the truth, no matter what the cost. Of course, there was, like you said, there's a lot of cowardice in the church. But the Bible says again that I have not given you the spirit of cowardice, but of power and a sound mind. That is what we should use now. It is very important that we teach the world. If we do not, then we're taking the whole world into a very, very evil ditch of death, and then we shall be held accountable by our Creator. So it's very important that we take up the mantle, teach the world the truth, and especially our leaders, we should tell them the truth, and the time is now. The time is now.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Kasengere from Kasama, the voice of the church, Father Chikoya, and also the problem with us pastors wanting to be the richest, as you saw that man saying wanting to be famous.
Yeah.
And Pastor Kasengere is saying rushing to State House.
Yeah. I think the Tower of Babel mentality has to end. You know, building an empire to make a name is not the reason why we've been called. The church, if you may equate it to the boat, to the boats, for example, is a rescue boat. It's not a boat cruise. You know, like these, those that we use for the boat cruise to enjoy ourselves and things like that. It's a place where you find tools that are relevant to rescue people. And so, and sometimes people can be politically disabled, they can be blind, and so our role is to preach in such a way that the comfortable are made uncomfortable. So said John Stott, and the uncomfortable are made comfortable. Not that we want to cause problems, but those that think they have it all will begin to realize, I've got a gap here. And so that is our role. And again, let's concentrate on Jesus. The footballers will tell you, eyes on the ball.
Eyes on the ball.
Not on the politician, not on the pace, not on the briefcase. I think, you know, if we concentrated more on reaching their souls and instead of reaching their wallets, we will do better. Because then both the wallet and their souls will come. Because once someone is saved, they'll come with their treasure to God, and the church will benefit. And so we need to get it right. And so definitely issues of selfishness, issues of trying to build empires in the name of our church or etc. have been there, but we need not continue with that path. Let's begin to realize our denominational barriers and fences should be low enough to reach out and greet each other, to reach out and say we have a common problem. How best do we solve? You know, sometimes it's interesting. You may find people building a school, and the others are also building another school. Why don't you put resources together and do a better job?
50 meters apart.
Do a better job, you know. So there are those areas you are doing an orphanage, 3 orphans. Another one is doing another orphanage, they have 2.
Competition.
Why don't we do something that is, you know, you know, bigger and better, you know. So we need to really see how best we can. I mean, take stock of what we have in the church. There is an economist. There's an environmentalist. You know, there are all kinds of people seated in church.
That's what that man
and
said.
And the pastor does not have monopoly of wisdom.
No.
But is privileged to be the shepherd. And you do well to harness the potential in your church. And when you speak on economic matters, people be saying, does he have a degree in economics? There's a member in the church that is saying, these are the issues to look for.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But we sometimes tend to be so pompous, and we don't want to learn and harness the potential in our members.
Pastor know it all.
Yes. So you will find, if we can just check, we will find most of our solutions are right
in church.
In church. Seated every day is a man that will solve all your architectural issues.
Give us some more text messages, Mr. Director. Father Chikoya, would you like to spearhead the public march, so fight against the ZESCO tender of polls? Don't you think that the names of Zambians are being tarnished to be given jobs internationally by the actual government?
Okay.
This man is calling for you.
Yes. Of course, we will use other channels to reach further and engage. But where you find that you are failing to put the point across, in that case, you would find other means need to be used. You know, sometimes you can saturate social media with a particular campaign. You could have, you know, a day where, in a very peaceful manner, you are able to just raise concern on particular issues. So, and, hopefully, we should be able to get this matter given the attention that it deserves. But when it comes to issues of publicly expressing our displeasure, we will not shy away from that option if and when necessary. But for now, let's see how it goes, and hopefully.
But this is pathetic. So the ZESCO tender committee, they are foreigners, or is it Zambians?
Obviously, there must be people from within ourselves. There's no way you can have
you
know,
prefer
a tender committee.
Your neighbor's child at the expense of your own.
Yeah.
Anyway, may God bless us. The ZESCO, you must be able to look at Zambians first. Hello, good evening. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
What's your name and where are you calling us from, sir? What's your name, sir? You say? Are you hearing?
I was impressed by the people, but it's not clear.
Sir, sorry, please drop your line and call again. We are not hearing, I'm not hearing. Did you hear anything?
He was basically saying he's impressed with the type of people you bring on the programs.
Yeah,
but then it was distorted.
It was distorted because the view to hear out there. And please, sir, though you didn't give us your name, please try and give us a call. I know it could be congested, but please don't give up. Mr. Director, text messages. Pastor Chikoya and Father Chikoya, good evening. You are true patriots. I love your consistency on national matters. Who bewitched our case or cast us? And this nonsense of demeaning people who objectively comment on matters affecting our nation must stop. This breaks my heart. I love and admire your objectivity, Pastor Chiluba and Father Chikoya. This is Rogers from Sorwezi. Because the social media, Abba, Limbi Bambi Navatona. I'm not on social media because I was born for greatness. And Bambi, they look at contributions from the political
perspective.
Yeah. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
My name is Banda.
You are?
Banda.
Mr. Banda Muvanga, our regular caller, please go ahead and contribute. Where are you calling us from?
Within this
Muvanga, please go ahead and contribute.
How are you, Banda?
I'm fine. How are you, sir?
I'm fine. Okay. Let's say Liquid Telecom. This is Liquid Telecom.
Yes.
They have changed the system using port. They have come up with the concrete port, which they are mounting in Kanyama, where they are putting that. Why can't they do this? Because as I told you, the government created the green economy, the green economy ministry, that's the green economy. Which is that we have to get a tree. Why can't they just of cutting trees? Why can't they change to using concrete poles? You remember that some poles which the amount in the unique area, the poles, which were used, which were manufactured by you for the UN. They were in the long time. Until we started seeing building the monopoles, which are the new one. Why can't they seem to either use both or what they use concrete poles? That will add to the economy because one cement is used. Also, in the system of mining, you sell steel. Instead of going to South Africa to buy steel, we have university school, international steel. We have good steel. We have Chinanga cement. We have these companies that are manufacturing quarries and so on. So meaning that the man is existing in the country instead of importing things that will have to be provided and then they get that. Because both they won't last for more than 10 years. But if you put up a concrete pole, it will last for a long time.
Yeah.
Why do we do such things? That we take away our man. So the way you define poor, I think it's that way. Because we cannot be keeping it out. Look at copper. We are the owners of copper. We can't even manufacture a cable. But we wait for the Chinese to manufacture a cable, then it becomes this, we didn't get this, Yasha cable. What kind of relation are we? Where are we going?
Father Chikoya.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Mr. Muvanga Bandas brought valid points. You and I have visited America, UK, Europe. They don't use these poles. You know, they use those concrete, even for the old telephones.
Yeah.
He's saying, why can't we surely to make a pole from cement? All you need are engineers here to tell us, Pastor, do this, Father Chikoya, do this. We start supplying. Why can't we move to that era? I think this point is valid.
Yeah, yeah. I think he raises good points in terms of environmental management. We need to be seen to walk the talk. It's one thing to create a ministry that focuses on promoting the environment. It's another thing to begin to, again, look at I listened to a video clip, I think it was from a Malawian preacher that said, one of our challenges with the environment is that we've cut so many trees, and he analyzed the effect of those trees. And so when we gather, we pray about this and that and the challenge of rain, we have been destroying the environment. If you go along, Great East Road, you see bare spaces. Go to Southern Province, it's the same. So, and then we now have the companies as well getting Lerogs. Definitely it will have an impact on the environment. And so I think our electricity supply company will do well to listen, to take time to look at alternatives and ensure that we are environmental friendly in whatever we do. And then he also talked about why is it that you have ZESCO needing certain things, and yet if there was cooperation, this company needs this, it feeds into the other one, and the other one, as much as possible, the money is retained within the country. It is working within the Zambian economy. It's high time we began to look in that, to work in that way, where there's collaboration. If really you go on, you focus on steel, you focus on issues of concrete, that money is going to be working in the Zambian economy, because we have enough companies, that manufacture cement. You have enough companies that make steel, and so we'll be able to make sure the money is Zambian, it's working in Zambia. We will never be 100% divorced from other countries and other resources, but we must not go there with unfinished products. We must be going there to compete with them at a higher level. So that at the end of the day, we even had Memako in Zambia, isn't it? They were making cables. Yes. Why are we failing to ensure that such companies, Zamefa, sorry, where they are supported and equipped to be able to produce and take advantage of the region? Somebody talked of, even maize itself. There are needs that, including chickens. There must be a country that is importing from Brazil.
It's Congo.
But why can't we make sure that we have enough of these things produced, and we want to transport or to fly goats to Saudi Arabia when we can take them to Congo?
And when they come to buy meal here, you call them smugglers instead of importers.
Yes, so let's regularize all these things. Let us allow these Zambians to cross over and the Congolese to cross over in a legal way. But we've it's like what the Bible says: don't put a stumbling block in the path of a blind person. We are putting stumbling blocks in the path of Zambians, and at the end of the day, we want them to thrive. We can't thrive. There are opportunities in the region that we must take advantage of, but also opportunities within our own country. Let's not quickly take this money outside. How can we make these institutions, these industries speak to each other and begin to trade within themselves, so that we are creating more jobs? There'll be more tax paid again, so government still gets more tax revenue. People can get decent wages or salaries or things of that nature. So obviously
in Zambia is that, you see, when the UPND was in the opposition, they would bring sensible things to the government to say, here you are failing, here you are failing. The government then would not listen and say, Niba opposition. But they are bringing things which are good. The same thing has happened also to UPND, where even the opposition is bringing sensible things. They say, Nichimwalusre, you are still nursing your injuries. Instead of capitalizing, once you are criticized for that Chikoya, somebody is bringing, why don't you take that criticism wonderfully and build on your weaknesses and excel?
Actually, that is free advice. Advice. You had talked about someone who built a church without toilets because they were not listening to other people. In Chewa, it says, Samvera namanga nyumba yopanda komo. The person who is so insensitive, a door, he built a house without a door. Because he wasn't listening to, and then there's another one that says, Sabazan zake, anadia safunsa, anadia pula. So we have reached, sayings and proverbs in the African setting and even in Zambian setting. Let us listen. You are not going to lose anything. You know, you get an idea, go back in your cabinet wherever you meet and turn it around and make things work for Zambia. People say they are working.
There is a saying here, apart from the one you quoted, that Chumbu Munshololo.
Yes.
There is a saying that Munshebwa ilena suti kuwa pongo shia vula ukutwala kulondre. But that one is deep.
Diplomatic.
Diplomatic. So it is very important. And in our nation, we should rise. Let's not look at them through the eyes of politicians to say, because of this advice is this, because of this. You know, I don't think that's how it is. You know, the previous government would say, "Will you remember Wakateo?" when you want to give advice. This, I think Zambians were too sensitive to criticisms.
Yeah.
Even the criticisms that make sense, which can build you.
Yes.
We are just too sensitive.
Yeah, we are too sensitive, and we'll do well to listen. I think we, as long as we don't listen, we are likely to miss out, or even, you know, spend more where we could have spent less. I think it's high time we had the leadership that is able to say, let's bury the hatchet. Not that we bury wrong things, not that we bury crimes. Let those that have stolen whatever they've done be accountable. But even when a fool is speaking, listen to them. That is why we have got 2 ears, meaning the focus on listening is twice as much as the focus on talking. And so let's learn to listen. A good leader will listen. A good leader is both a good follower and at the same time they are leading. And so our leaders will gain, and if anything, they won't lose anything if they get advice, including from the so-called West of the West. They can still get something, because it is said it is meaning it is the fool, the so-called fool that warned the village there's a war, imminent war coming. And so you don't lose anything. And after all, they won't tell you, can you please acknowledge that I got this knowledge from this source? But even if you did, you'll be a greater leader. You know, but there's no one who's going to say, write acknowledgements. We did this because we got that.
Before we charge you with plagiarism.
Just, be able to cipher, sieve through what people are saying and get the nuggets that will help us to make the Zambia we want.
Mr. Director, just give us 5 text messages. We read them one after another. Sorry, dear Camnet TV viewers, time doesn't seem to be on our side. We need men of integrity in offices, and the only way is to start now with the young ones coming up. Imiti Kula Empanga, TDP Israel. Okay? Father Chikoya and Pastor Chiluba, you inspire me. You have no fear. You have not failed to point out what is wrong in every government. Continue, men of God. The cost of living is too high. Where are we going? This is Jack in Solwezi. Sir, in case of uniting the country, what do you think the people in leadership can do if they found that the person got rich because of someone who was once in the previous government? Chaulezo from Manyinga. You've understood this one, Father Chikoya?
My assumption is that they did so illegally.
My father and my father. Good discussion. Allow me to add the issue of waiting for a foreigner investor in Mopani or KCM. The same workers that were productive under the former investors and made huge profits are still there today, and the mines are struggling. Say something, Pastor. This is William from Kitwe. The last one. Good evening, Pastor Chiluba and Father. I like the example given by Pastor when the He referred to the past, starting from UNIP to where we are today. With this blame game, surely, where will it take us as a nation? Don't we have men and women who are bold and courageous enough to talk to our politicians, especially you men and women of God? This is Imiti from Florida. Your comments over the...
Yeah, I think generally what I see affecting us is politicking. We want to politic over everything. And, you know, time for politicking is gone. And if you notice, you find that we spend 5 years. We are in a constant politicking mode. We are in a constant campaign mode. And that is why I'm not a very good fan of by-elections. By-elections, if there was a way, they should be stopped like yesterday. They should be stopped. They are a waste of money. They are a waste of resources, energy, and they disturb peace. Zambians will be peaceful when there are no elections. The moment we just have elections, suddenly it is the ITT, if a toka, to the one to Amwe, it is Northern Province, it is what? We need to get to a level where we do our elections, settle down, and say we are one Zambia, we are one nation, let's move forward and work together. Of course, we must provide the positive criticism. What should we do? Church leaders, we will continue to talk, and we must make sure, you know, that we are able to engage. And some of these leaders need to be also visited outside the context of the public space, speaking to their souls, speaking to their conscience, instead of just generalizing. So there is need, you know, there'll be midwives among our church leaders. There should be those that are like midwives. Midwives are never celebrated. When a child is born, they are just say, congratulations, mother and father. Have you ever heard anyone say, congratulations, nurses at UTH, congratulations, midwives? No. So there's need for some church leaders that God gifts in a special way, that they are able to go and interact and be able to say, Your Excellency, or a member of the opposition, this and this is not okay. And you know, when one of the East African countries had high levels of violence, what they did, the church leaders checked around. These politicians, where are they coming from? Which church do they belong to? Then the senior-most person from each of those churches isolated and targeted those. And over a cup of tea or wherever, one of them was shocked to hear that the whole archbishop was in his house. He says, how? No, he has come for a cup of tea. And then they go and meet. The next thing you see, violence stopped. And so we have power, but it is maybe containerized and we are not using it properly. So we need to make sure, in as much as we issue general statements, there must be this specific and focused engagement. And I think there are enough of these leaders in our churches, but we are toiling with them. We need just to sit down, Your Excellency, or you know, the president of this political party. I've come here not for business as usual. Let's have a heart-to-heart discussion, and so that could help. Why are we doing this economically? Why are we doing that and that? And we should be able to have those conversations, and I think they'll make a difference. And so we must engage. And you know, the others were comments, I think, that were basically just positive, encouraging us and commending. And so we'll continue to do our best in terms of you know, making a contribution to Zambia. You know, for some, maybe, I don't know, maybe they were being modest. Of course, you may be aware that I have been appointed to be on the Human Rights Commission. Yeah, and people are saying, is Father Chikoya now bought and whatever.
That's a problem.
You know,
because
so yeah,
you being there, Human Rights Commission, I didn't even know you were appointed.
Yeah,
these are the things that we need, Father Chikoya.
Yeah,
it's not that somebody talked about going to State House. I go to State House. Yes. Most of the times, from Dr. Kaunda to now.
Yes.
But not even one president in this nation has bought me. No, I can lie. There is no president who has suggested money to me, what. I speak as I feel, and I respect the president. But the problem that we have, like you have said, once you are seen at State House at Tarefa,
yes,
once you are seen with some at Nava Mushta, you know, I think this syndrome must come to an end. I must congratulate the president or whoever appointed you to be in the Human Rights Commission, because we need such things. We need to direct them. We need to go this way, that way. Those are the things we were talking about. Congratulations once again.
Yeah. So basically, it resonates with what we are doing. You know, we will speak. If you look at the work of the human rights, they've been able to issue statements that would make you wonder: these people, are they really a commission that works under government? Because they want to see to it that people are treated as human beings, including these people that, you know, that Mukushi farming saga and all those things. Those are issues of human rights violation. And so basically it is an honor and appreciated. And I just thought maybe mentioning it for some that may think this is it. I've not been, like you have said, no one has come to me and told me, now you are this, you should not be talking. And if that happens, then that will become a point of departure, because we believe that we can make a good contribution to ensuring that issues of human rights are respected and promoted in Zambia. So it's yet to be ratified, but of course we appreciate that consideration.
Amen.
Thank you.
Well, dear Camnet TV viewers, I can tell you that when I'm on this set with my guests, time just seems to fly. And on behalf of my wife, Pastor Victoria, who is the CEO of this great station, and the technical people, and all our journalists, the Healing Word Ministries International, those of you that are viewing there, let me tell you, you are the people that are making this station great. But as we close this, Father Chikoya, I must appeal to all the pastors. Let's rally behind the leadership of the day without political agenda, without favors to say I must benefit from this. We need to develop this nation. And also to the leaders out there, the politicians, please look at the ZESCO tender, how it was floated, and look at the people who went to pick the tag from the goat underground. I think those issues must come out. In the meantime, remember you were born for greatness. I'm your pastor. Keep watching Camnet TV, because Camnet TV is not just another channel. Bye-bye and shalom, shalom.